Have you ever stood on a football field in a black gown, sun roasting your ears, while your own mother waves a sealed envelope like she is waiting for your autograph, and you realize the only thing inside is your erasure? My name is Sloane Hart, and I swear, the sky went dead quiet the second I read the first line. I grew up in the kind of town where the Dairy Queen shuts down for the rodeo, and everybody pretends that is normal. Dad sold tractor parts out of a tin building that smelled like oil and menthol cigarettes. Mom kept the books and kept her mouth shut when Dad's temper flared. I had one sibling, Gabe, younger by 5 years, louder by 1,000 decibels. Gabe could wreck a room, smile, and walk out crowned. I could reorganize the wreckage, apologize, and still get blamed for existing too loudly. We lived on 5 acres of scrub oak and red dirt. The house was a single-story rectangle. Dad kept adding to with his own 2 hands and a case of cheap beer. My bedroom was the only finished space. Mom let me pick the paint. I chose pale yellow because the paint chip was called warm butter, and I like the idea of sleeping inside something soft. They never let me forget that gallon cost $23 we did not have. School was my escape hatch. Teachers liked me because I turned in lab reports stapled twice and annotated like a monk. I liked science because numbers do not change their mind about you halfway through the semester. By senior year, I had acceptance. Letters from 3 state schools and 1 private, all thick envelopes, the kind that feel like wedding invitations. I picked the private one because they handed me a full ride. First in the history of our high school. The local paper ran a photo, me holding a fake check, cheeks hurting from smiling. Mom hung the clipping on the fridge. Dad said, "Do not get cocky, Sloane. Pride comes before foreclosure." I thought he was joking. Graduation day, late May, temperature already 92 at 10 in the morning. The ceremony is held outside on the football field so the town can bring lawn chairs and gossip in real time. I am valedictorian, so I sit on the metal bleachers with the other honor kids, sweat pooling where the polyester gown sticks to my thighs. My speech is folded in my palm like a prayer. It is mostly gratitude. Thank you to teachers. Thank you to community. Thank you to family for sacrificing so I could stand here. I believe every word when I write it. Parents arrive late, as usual, but they sit front row because the principal saves seats for family. Mom wears the sunflower dress she bought at Walmart 2 seasons ago. Dad wears the same khakis he wears to funerals. Gabe is in cargo shorts, FaceTiming his girlfriend so she can watch him flip his tassel. When my name is called, the crowd cheers like we just won state in football. I cross the stage, shake the superintendent's hand, accept the leather folder. I look down at my parents and I mouth, "We did it." Mom lifts her own envelope, white and legal-sized, and waves it like she is greeting the queen. I think it is a card, maybe a savings bond. Maybe the $20 they once promised for every I do not think it is a guillotine. After the last name is butchered by the principal. After the caps fly like cheap confetti. After the marching band fumbles the fight song. I find my family under the bleachers where it is cooler and private. Mom hugs me first, stiff and fast. Dad claps my shoulder so hard my tassel jumps. Gabe says, "Nice speech, nerd," and pockets his phone. Then Mom hands me the envelope. Her eyes are glassy but not proud, more like she is about to vomit. I open it right there because I am still high on accomplishment. Inside are 3 pages. Stapled header in Times New Roman. Petition for emancipation. Of parental rights and obligations, my name is listed as the child to be released. Their signatures are all ready. Scrawled at the bottom, Dad's angry slant, Mom's careful cursive, both dated 2 days earlier. I read the first paragraph twice because the words will not stay still. It says they are formally severing all legal ties, financial support, and inheritance claims. It says I am 18 and therefore of contractual age and self-sufficient capacity. It says they wish me well but can no longer sustain the emotional and fiscal burdens of continued guardianship. My ears start ringing like I have been slapped. I look up and I ask, "Is this a joke?" Mom shakes her head. Dad checks his watch and says, "We have a flight to Tampa in 3 hours. House closes next week. Keys to the truck are on the seat. You can keep it till we find a buyer." Gabe looks at his shoes, at least having the grace to appear sick. I ask, "What am I supposed to do?" Mom shrugs, and for the first time I see relief on her face, the kind you feel when you set down something heavier than your own body. She says, "You are smart, Sloane. You will figure it out." Then they walk away, 3 silhouettes against the aluminum bleachers, and nobody looks back. I stand there until the janitor turns off the stadium lights. The parking lot empties except for my best friend Lacey, who waits by her mom's minivan, confused why I am not riding with my folks. I cannot speak. I just hand her the papers. She reads, mouth open, and says, "Holy crap, Sloan, this is real." I nod. My limbs feel injected with cement. Lacey drives me home. Well, to the house that used to be home. The windows are already bare, curtains down, boxes stacked like Jenga. My bedroom is yellow and empty except for the mattress. On the kitchen counter sits a single envelope with my name. Inside is a cashier's check for exactly $2,000. The amount. Mom once bragged she saved by clipping coupons, and a sticky note that says, "For groceries or whatever." Good luck. I laugh until I taste metal. Lacey hugs me while I shake. She offers her couch. I say no because pride is the only coat I have left. I spend the first night in the cab of Dad's old truck, keys dangling, moon shining through the windshield like a spotlight on my stupidity. Next morning I drive to the only place that ever paid me, the diner off the interstate. The manager, Rosa, takes one look at my puffy eyes and hires me for double shifts without asking questions. I sleep in the break room on a vinyl bench that smells like bleach and bacon. I save every tip in a mason jar labeled tuition or tombstone. 2 weeks later, the acceptance office from the private college calls. They have heard how I do not know that I am experiencing housing instability. They revoke the full ride because the scholarship requires a stable mailing address and familial cosigner for emergency liabilities. I plead, I cry. I offer to live in my car in the parking lot. The woman on the phone sounds like she is reading from a script carved into her desk. I hang up and I vomit in the dumpster behind the diner. That night, I am wiping coffee grounds off the counter when a man in a tailored gray suit walks in, orders decaf and asks for me by name. He slides a business card across the laminate. Hart Holdings, Everett Hart, CEO. I figure he wants to franchise the diner and needs a manager. I tell him I am busy. He smiles, folds his hands, and says, "I am here about your real family." I laugh so hard. Rosa pokes her head out of the kitchen. I tell the man my family just disowned me in a football stadium. He says they are not your family. They are tenants who overstayed. Then he places a silver dollar on the card, same year as my birth, and flips it. The sound is sharp like a coin hitting a coffin lid. He stands, leaves a 20 on the table, and walks out. On the back of the card is an address downtown. Tomorrow at noon, bring the coin. I do not sleep. I Google Everett Hart. Net worth north of 400 million. Photo taken at ribbon cuttings and charity galas. Eyes like chipped granite. The article mentions a daughter, my mother, who eloped at 19 with a local tradesman and was cut off financially. The piece calls it a brief estrangement. I check the date. Published the year I was born. My hands shake so bad I drop the phone. Noon, I walk into a glass tower that reflects the sky so perfectly it looks empty. Security waves me through when I show the coin. 42nd floor, corner office the size of a basketball court. Everett stands behind a desk that probably cost more than the truck I drove here. He is older in person, skin thin as tissue paper over bones that refuse to bend. He gestures to a leather chair. I sit on the edge like it might bite. He says, "You have her cheekbones." I ask who. He answers, "My daughter." "Your mother, the woman who sold you for monthly grocery money." The words hit like a 2x4. He slides a folder toward me. Insider bank statements. Monthly wires of 10 grand to an account in my parents'. Name labeled for the care and education of Sloan Hart. Minor. The payments stopped the day I turned 18. He says, "I assumed you were dead to me until I saw your valedictorian photo in the county paper. I knew the face. I hired investigators. They found the petition your parents filed the same week my trust expired. Efficient monsters, your keepers." I ask what he wants. He says, "I want to adopt back what is mine. Not as a child, as an heir. You start college in the fall, paid in full by me. You intern at my company, learn to protect the empire I built and they squandered. In return, you guard the gate so no one like them ever walks through again. I should feel rescued. Instead, I feel traded again, a deed passed along. But the alternative is the truck bench, so I nod. He slides a new envelope, thick, cream, heavy as a brick, across the desk. Inside is a lease for a furnished apartment downtown, a tuition letter stamped paid, and a credit card with my name embossed in platinum. He says one condition. You must confront them. You must show them the coin. You must close the door they opened. Otherwise the poison stays in the blood. agree because anger is the only warm thing left in my chest. 2 days later, I drive back to the house I grew up in. It is empty. Foreclosure sign stabbed into the yard like a grave marker. A neighbor tells me they moved to Tampa, some get-rich-quick flip scheme. I follow the trail. Public records, LLC filings, social media geotags. They bought a Cracker Box house with borrowed money, painted every wall gray, and listed it for triple the price. The market cooled. The loan ballooned. They are hosting an open house this weekend, desperate for a buyer. I book a flight, wear the gray suit Julia, my new corporate mentor, picked for me. I walk into the open house carrying a single white envelope, same size as the one Mom handed me on the field. Mom sees me first. She is staging the living room with fake plants from Walmart. Her mouth opens, but no sound comes out. Dad rushes in from the kitchen, paint on his knuckles, eyes wide. Gabe is upstairs, blasting music, unaware. I set the envelope on the laminate counter that still smells of wet paint. I say, "I brought you something." Dad tears it open. Inside is a cashier's check for the exact amount they owe the bank, plus a copy of the monthly trust statements they never told me about. I watch color drain from his face like someone pulled a bathtub plug. Mom starts to cry, not pretty tears, but the kind that drip off your chin and stain cheap cotton. She says, "We only wanted a fresh start." I answer, "You sold my future for a down payment. Consider this foreclosure of the debt. I own the note now." Dad whispers, "You would evict your own family?" I place the silver dollar on the check. "You evicted me first. I am just signing the paperwork." They beg. They offer apologies wrapped in excuses, layers deep as onions. Gabe thunders downstairs, sees me, stops. He looks taller, thinner, eyes red. He says, "Sis, we messed up." But blood is blood. I hold up the flash drive. Julia gave me security footage from the high school lab fire senior year. The one that put a janitor in the ICU. Gabe's face folds inward. I say, "You poured the gas." "You laughed." He has no answer. I tell them they have 24 hours to vacate. I will rent the house to someone who pays on time. I walk out while they shout my name like it is a swear word. Back home, if a glass tower can be home, I sit in the dark. Curtains open, city pulsing below like a heart I hold in my hand. I wait for satisfaction to arrive. It does not. I feel nothing except the echo of my boots on hardwood. I tell myself justice is colder than revenge, that cold keeps meat from rotting. Still, I cry. Because crying is the only thing left that belongs to me. Months roll. I attend classes in the morning, board meetings in the afternoon. I learn to read balance sheets the way I once read romance novels, hungry for escape. Everett grows weaker, oxygen tubes curling under his nose like clear snakes. One night he calls me to his penthouse, points to a folder labeled Heart Ventures. Dissolution plan. He says, "When I die, you can sell it all, donate it all, or burn it all. Just promise you will not let them back. I promise because promises cost. Nothing when you have already lost everything." He dies on a Tuesday squash racket mid-swing. The will is ironclad. I inherit controlling interest. 3 trusts and a coin collection started the year I was born. At the reading, Julia hands me a final letter. His handwriting shakes. Power is only revenge if it balances the scales. Do not become the storm that merely destroys. Become the storm that cleans. I fold the letter, tuck it with the silver dollar, and wonder if he knew the storm was already inside me, rotating, looking for the next target. Years pass. I graduate summa cum laude, rise to CEO, donate millions in Everett's name. Employees fear me, competitors respect me, charities flatter me. I date, but every time someone says I love you, I hear Mom's voice. "You are lucky we bought you anything at all." I never answer with, "I love you," back. I answer with gifts so expensive they feel like hush money. One winter night, I am scrolling a small-town Nevada paper. I see a mugshot. Gabe, eyes hollow. Arrested for skimming credit cards from seniors at a call center. The article mentions our parents. Eviction notice. Medical debt. Living week to week in a motel that smells like onion rings and bleach. I close the laptop, but the image sticks like burnt rice. I tell myself they are ghosts. That ghosts cannot hurt me anymore. Then the doorbell rings at 3 a.m. Security cams show Mom, hair gray, body thin, holding a manila envelope. She looks into the lens and says, "I know you are watching, Sloan. I have something you need." Let her in because curiosity is stronger than fear when you have already lost everything once. She sits in the marble kitchen, hands shaking around a cup of tea she never drinks. The envelope contains a single page, my original birth certificate. Fatherline blank. Motherline reads, Everett Hart. I stare, brain stuttering. Mom smiles, sad and triumphant. He did not want a scandal, so he paid me to raise you as his grandchild. When the money stopped, I stopped pretending to love you. I thought if I pushed you away, you would run to him and I would be free. Turns out I was just early to my own exile. She stands, leaves the paper and walks out before I can form a sentence. I stand there until the tea turns cold, until the sun rises and the staff arrives and the world pretends to be normal. So the man I called grandfather was actually my father. The woman I called mother was my paid warden, and the storm I thought I inherited was brewed in my own blood. I drive to the cemetery. I stand over Everett's grave and I laugh until security threatens to call the cops. I laugh because revenge is a mirror, and the face in it is always your own. I go home, pour a glass of something older than I am, and stare at the city lights blinking like error messages. I think about forwarding the arson file again, about buying the motel in Reno and evicting them a second time, about wiring another $1 million to the janitor's widow, about burning the whole empire down just to feel the heat on my face. Instead, I open a new document. I title it, Last Will and Testament of Sloane Hart. I leave every dollar to the janitors, grandchildren, every property to the tenants who never missed rent, every secret to the public domain. I sign it, seal it, and place the silver dollar on top. Then I turn off the lights, sit in the dark, and wait for the storm to pass or to swallow me whole. Man, you have no idea how quiet the world gets when you finally own everything, except the one thing you needed, proof that you were ever really wanted.